I feel like it's been a while since I've actually put together a PC. I did that build with Alvaro recently. It was his first build, but he was the one putting it together. I don't really remember the last time I built one, but I'm kind of itching, you know? It's a weird thing. I didn't realize how much I relied on building PCs for enjoyment, but I really want to build one today, so that's what we're gonna do. The tricky thing is though, I don't really have a reason to build one. It feels like I've already built PCs for, you know, all the close people in my life that actually need one, and you know, there's really little reason to build one to show you guys, you know, here's the parts that you should buy because the PC market is what it is right now with GPUs and CPUs and stuff. So I think what I've decided to do is I'm just gonna walk around my inventory shelves here and just pick out the most high-end parts that I have on hand for every single component. The most high-end CPU, graphics card, motherboard, all that stuff. And we're just gonna assemble like a crazy overkill system for no particular reason today. So I hope that's okay with you guys. I guess we should just start then, right? Let's just dive right in.
Before we continue, did you know that less than half of public schools in the US offer computer science classes? Access to computer science and tech education is a major challenge for young women and students from marginalized communities today, which is why our sponsor, .tech Domains, along with GoDaddy Pro, are donating not 10%, not 50%, but 100% of their sales proceeds to code.org to help change this. Building my first DIY PC years ago was a major catalyst for how I got my start in tech, and it's given me a deep appreciation for things like system building and PC gaming ever since. I mean, I can't even imagine my life without RGB now. I think everyone deserves the same chance I got to pursue their passion in tech. And if you feel the same way, buying a .tech domain will make a direct impact on underprivileged people who love tech as much as we do. Show your support by clicking the description link below or visiting go.tech/bitwit to learn more.
CPU first, why not? That's what I usually pick out first for most builds. All right, so this is our CPU section here. I've got a few more over there, but I think they're all like on the test beds and stuff, and I don't think they're the most high-end ones I have. So obviously we've got AMD or Intel. The Intel pile's been looking really sad lately here at the Bitwit HQ. So we're probably gonna go with AMD. The question then is, do I go with something like the Ryzen 5000 series, because I do have this Ryzen 9 5950X, 16-core beauty of a chip, or should I go with Threadripper? Now the highest end Threadripper CPU that I actually have in this whole studio is in fact inside of Prometheus. It's a 3970X, but Prometheus isn't really working right now, and it would be a total pain in the ass to try to drain it just to get to that CPU. So the second one, and by the way, I haven't forgotten about this build. I am planning to do something with it to get it up and running. Just bear with me a little longer on that. But anyway, over here, the second craziest Threadripper chip I have on hand at the moment is this guy. If it'll focus. Having a little hard time with the little tiny text, are you, Sony? It's a 3960X though. Ryzen Threadripper 3960X, 24 core, 48 thread CPU. So this could be an option. I think I'm gonna go with this. Choosing the motherboard should be pretty easy because I don't have a ton of options for Threadripper. I could go with a Zenith 2 Extreme. Oh wait, no, I can't. One of them, again, is in Prometheus. He's such a parts hog. And then the other one is dead because I killed it. But we won't get into that right now. So I think that pretty much limits our option to the Creator TRX 40 from MSI. I say limits in big air quotes because this is still a ridiculously overpowered board. There you go. All right, that's 2 parts down. What's next? I guess we should do a cooler. This guy looks pretty good. Fractal Celsius Plus S36. Obviously I want to go 360. They don't really make AIOs any bigger than this, so this is probably as good as it's gonna get. Obviously we could go with an equivalent from guys like Corsair or Enermax or whoever, but I really like this cooler. It's a pretty decent looking one, and the RGB fans I'm not a huge quote unquote fan of, but we could always change that later. It is a nice cooler though, nice matte black and stuff, pretty minimal RGB on the water block, not too obnoxious. What's next? Storage, why don't we do storage? So I've got an idea for storage already. Again, thanks to Prometheus not really being in use right now, but having a crazy number of high-end parts inside of it. One in fact I've already taken out. So there's this, oh, it's kind of crappy to show you right here. Let me bring this into the light. You guys remember this? Those of you who are following the Prometheus build log, shame on you if you didn't. But this is Asus's Hyper M.2 by 16 Gen 4 card. Basically it supports up to 4 NVMe PCIe SSDs, or PCIe NVMe SSDs. You can see I've got 3 of 4 slots populated. I had to take one out for a friend's build that I needed on hand, but these 3 are still available, and obviously they're not gonna work in Prometheus right now. These are MP600s from Corsair, and they're each 2 terabytes in capacity. So if we used all 3, that's 6 terabytes of PCIe Gen 4 NVMe storage, which Sounds pretty overkill to me. As for power supply, oh, you know what I could do? So wall-mounted PC, right? Remember you guys who were following me on this? Remember the Revolt X, or is that the Revolt Pro? One of the Revolt PSUs from Fantex wasn't working the first time around, so I had Fantex send me a second unit, which they did. So it should still be around here somewhere, and I think it was, this is the empty box, Revolt Pro, and this one's not empty. Oh boy, that's heavy. 1200 watt. Okay, yes, overkill indeed. That's right, they originally sent me the Revolt X. This is a dual system PSU technically, so you can hook up two systems to it, but obviously we're only doing one today. That's the one that wasn't working with the wall-mounted build, so they sent me the Revolt Pro instead, which was, we can use this for today. Oh, mad gains, bro. Oh. Obviously, we're gonna need some memory. I don't know why I didn't do that sooner, but let's see. Oh, this is gonna be tricky. I won't have a lot of options here because I do have some pretty good like 16 gig modules, but none of those come in a quad channel kit, which is what we're gonna need for this platform. I do have some of these thermal take kits, Tough RAM RGB. These are 8 gig sticks, but they're 3600 speed, and I have a lot of them. So this was actually the RAM that was going to go inside of Prometheus before I decided last minute that I didn't want it to be RGB and I want it to be all chrome, hence the name Prometheus. And some of these are empty, but I do have enough of them for 8 DIMM slots. So while these are only 8 gig sticks, we do have 8 of them, which is gonna give us 64 gigs of DDR4 at 3600. As far as the graphics card goes, man, I just don't know, guys. I don't really have the biggest selection to choose from. You know, it's kind of limiting. All these options are just kind of underwhelming, but I guess if we had to choose something, it would probably be an RTX 3090. I do have the 6900 XT. Obviously, I can't use that though because it's in the wall-mounted PC. But this RTX 3090 Supreme from MSI should do just fine. In fact, it's not in this box. This box is empty. The GPU is in this system. This used to be my main streaming system until the wall-mounted PC replaced it. So ever since then, the RTX 3090 in there really hasn't been used at all. So that's perfect. Because everybody needs 24 gigs of VRAM. Last but not least, we gotta pick out a case. So I've got quite a few options here, and I don't necessarily have to go with the most expensive case, because if I did, it would probably be something like the Fantex 719, which is a fantastic case and stuff, but I think it's just too unnecessarily large for what I'm trying to do. Because if I was doing a dual system, then for sure. Or if I was liquid cooling, custom water cooling, absolutely. But I think it's just a little too oversized. I don't want to work in a case that big right now. Something more appropriately fit for what we're throwing inside of it might be something like, ooh, the LandCool 2 Mesh from Lian Li. Oh, okay, I think I've worked with that case once or twice. It's been a while. I actually have 2 of them. Why do I have 2? Oh, one's white and one's black. Okay, that might be a good option. I know for sure that's EATX. It's got really good airflow. It's practically fully mesh at the front, and it's a good solid quality case. Why don't we do that? All right, I'm just about ready to start building, but there's a couple things that I wanted to point out. The first of which being is that when I initially grabbed these 4 thermal take memory kits, I didn't realize that half of them were 3600 speed, the other half were 4000 speed. So I just went back to the inventory area to check, and I do have 4 4000 speed kits. So we're upgrading from 3600 to 4000 speed now, which is kind of exciting considering the theme of this build. The other thing I wanted to point out is that I did forget to double check initially when I picked this cooler out if it supported TRX4, which is of course the current Threadripper socket, and it does, fortunately, but you do need to use the adapter that comes included with your Threadripper chip. So fortunately, I've got one of those right here. I always kind of forget sometimes that not every AIO supports that platform right out of the gate. The last thing I want to note here is that I'm not exactly sure how many fans come included with this chassis, but I may very well swap them out for other fans of my choosing, other third-party fans. I haven't decided which ones they're going to be yet, so stay tuned. You'll just figure it out, I guess, as I go about the build. And I might replace these RGB fans as well. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of the aesthetic, but I guess I'll see what I have in inventory. I have to make sure that whatever fans I choose, I have enough of them that are identical to actually populate the AIO radiator and case. So on that note, I'll put links to all this stuff in the description below for your convenience, except for the RTX 3090. There probably won't be a link for that. Sorry, feels bad, man. But yeah, we're pretty much good to go. So let's go ahead and put this thing together and see how it turns out.
Before we continue, this video is brought to you by Manscaped, the premium brand for men's grooming and hygiene. They sent me over this awesome kit, including the Plow 2.0, the Crop Cleanser Hair and Body Wash, the Ultra Smooth package with crop exfoliator, crop gel, another razor blade with 5 replacement blades, but the star of the show, once again, is the new lawnmower. This is their 4th generation, the Lawnmower 4.0. I'm gonna open it. Here we go. Ooh, look at that. Ooh, this is fancy. Wow, that's like a complete redesign for sure. It's been like 1 or 2 years since I started using their trimmers, and I've never nicked or cut myself with them. They are that good. Completely waterproof, completely cordless, and the battery life is actually really good as well. Is there any residual charge? Ooh, look at that. It's got a light too, you know. Gets dark down there. Right now they're offering 20% off and free shipping with code Bitwit at manscaped.com. But I'll also drop a link in the description that you should totally click. Unless you don't have the balls. Bow, chicka, bow, wow. The system's done. The system's done. Oh yeah. There's actually quite a lot to talk about here. I kind of want to just go through the process, how everything worked out for me, starting with the case. So the Landcool 2 Mesh from Lee & Lee is a very lovely case. This is my first time building in it, and I gotta say I'm pretty impressed. I forgot all the cool little features and sort of like, I don't know, design choices that it's got. So the first cool thing is the radiator bracket at the front, fan, radiator bracket, or whatever. It's completely modular, so you can remove it, which makes installation of the radiator and fans a lot easier. But not only that, the bracket actually has 3 different positions it can go in. The very front, a little bit further back, and then even further back, depending on how much clearance you need or want for your radiator and fans. I'm not doing push-pull here, so I left it in the middle position, but if I needed additional room for fans right here, I could have moved it a little bit forward and probably slotted those in depending on how far back I mounted this drive cage underneath the PSU shroud. So that's a really cool feature. I think that's pretty innovative. We also have really good cable management back here. Well, actually I'll get to that, but the flaps, the PSU shroud flaps, genius. First of all, I love that it's vented, so pretty functional there. But if you ever need to like plug in a cable, you know, down the road into your power supply, let's say you add more peripherals or something, you need to add a SATA connector, but the SATA port is all the way on this side of the PSU. It can be a real pain in the to do that from the other side of the case. But with this, you just route it through from the back and then fish it around and plug it in. It just makes it super duper easy, as well as for installing drives too. The other thing I like about this case is the cable management. The cable management is pretty good. I really like this flap too. This flap is nice because while you're building, it kind of holds a lot of the cables that are, you know, running amok in place, so that if you have to, at least for me, I really like this, whenever I have to lean the system down, all the cables are flat. Like the system, the whole build lies flat on the desk or the table, as opposed to if they were just running all over the place and some of them were, you know, overflowing or spilling out from every edge of the case, then you'd get this kind of rocky sort of teeter-totter seesaw build, which is never fun to work with. So this kind of just helps keep the cables in place while you're building and also after you're done building. I only used 2 zip ties for this whole back side of the case, which should be an indication of just how good the cable management is as well. 1, 2. That's it. There's no zip ties here, although there's plenty of tie-down points if I wanted to use them, so that's good. And then we've got this guy here. There's actually no cables underneath here. It's just these 2. Oh, I guess maybe some fan cables going to the top fan there. But this is a nice cable management plate. There's also another one right here that I did not use that covers this area, mainly because this side panel is also made of tempered glass, so, you know, Lee & Lee wants it to look clean and stuff. You can cover up all your cable mess, but I didn't put it here, mainly because A, I don't care, and B, because the bunched up cables right here are pretty thick and they're kind of in the way of the grooves that that panel slots into, so I just didn't want to mess around with it. And it looks perfectly fine from the other side. I don't have a bunch of cables like going across this gap or whatever. Now I do have one little gripe about this case, and it's the fact that there's only room for a 120mm fan back here. I wanted to mount to 140, and I assumed that there would be a mounting spot for it right here, but there's not. It's only a 120, which I guess is fine, but I just figured for a case of this caliber and the fact that it's, you know, a fairly large case, they definitely had room to put a 140 there if they wanted to. They could have made it work. I was just kind of disappointed to see it was only a 120, but I guess that's a small gripe in the grand scheme of things. That being said, let's talk about these fans. I did end up using the Fractal Prism fans after all. I even added a 140 at the top, but you can see there, those are the stock fans that came included with our Celsius Plus cooler. The reason for that being is I just didn't really have that many cool fans lying around. They're all either in use or I didn't have enough of them to really populate the radiator and
and elsewhere. So I just ended up using those, and you know, they're fine. I guess I'll live. And by the way, look at how ridiculous this GPU looks. It looks like I've got, you know, mom's spaghetti going straight into the GPU. There's not 5 cables plugged into it. Don't worry, don't have a heart attack. There's only 3 8-pin connectors, which is still kind of a lot, but it's, you know, 3090 aftermarket and stuff. But 2 of these PCIe cables actually have 2 connectors on them, one of which being a 6-pin plug. So I couldn't even use it for the GPU. Had to just like pull it back and strap it down, which is why it looks so ridiculous. Oh, I almost forgot to mention, as I was doing the build, in the early stages, while I was installing the NVMe SSDs, I popped off this heatsink cover for that M.2 drive right there, and lo and behold, I found this guy. Samsung 970 EVO Plus 500 giggers. Ayo! Kind of a fun little discovery there. It's like getting a free SSD because I totally forgot that I had it. Makes me wonder how many other drives are just, you know, chilling in some of those motherboards that I haven't touched in months or even years. But anyway, let's see, what else can I talk about? Oh yeah, the power supply. Okay, so you might have noticed during that montage that I swapped the power supply from the Fantex Revolt to the EVGA 1000T2, which sounds like the name of a Terminator. But the reason I did that was because the Revolt power supply was not powering on the system. I did do a test boot and it didn't work. It just wasn't powering on. I was getting power, like it was actually sending the board power because the surface mounted power button LED was turned on. It was red like that, but it just wasn't turning on. And I should have learned my lesson from when I used that PSU with the wall mounted build because the same thing happened there. But I just figured maybe it was an incompatibility thing with the ASRock board we were using, that X570 Aqua. So I figured it would work for this build. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that PSU, but it might not be the power supply after all, because even after installing the 1000T2 from EVGA, it's still not turning on. Yeah, guys, I blew it. I assumed that I wouldn't have to do another test boot with a brand new power supply that I just opened out of the box right now. I should have done another test boot. I just figured it wasn't working because, you know, the Revolt wasn't working before with the other build, but now they're both giving us power, again, to the surface mounted power button. The board's getting power, it's just not turning on for some reason, and I think it might be the motherboard, now that I think about it. I can't really remember what project or projects I used this for, but I definitely know that I used the board in the past because otherwise this drive wouldn't be in there. So maybe I bricked this board too at some point, which is not hard to believe given my recent record. I'm on a streak right now, guys. It's horrible, but I can't confirm that. I can't confirm if I did in fact brick the board or if it is the board that's not working, but I can't really think of what else it might be. It wouldn't be the GPU, it wouldn't be the memory, it wouldn't be the fans. I mean, the CPU, the CPU is mounted well. I remounted it and everything. It's making contact, it's well seated and all that. So I think it's the board. And the worst part about this is that this is the only, or I thought was, the only working TRX4 board that I have on hand. Because the other ones, again, Zenith, the Zenith is a different socket. Zenith 2, one of them is in Prometheus. There's no way I'm pulling that out right now. And the other Zenith 2 is dead. So yeah, kill me. I tried clearing the CMOS, I tried a different power supply cable, I just don't know anymore. But just to make sure I'm not crazy, I'm gonna plug this power supply in to that test bench over there just to verify that it's working. I just need to know that the power supply is working and it's not the PSU, because I'm kind of losing my mind right now. Okay, here we go. Here's the test. Is the power supply the problem? Yes. Yes? How? Why? Why is neither power supply working? I'm so frustrated, so confused. Oops. My bad. Let's try this again, shall we? All right, that's what I'm talking about. Hey, so the power supply is not the culprit. I believe it's the motherboard, and unfortunately, like I said, there's really no way to verify that. At least not with another board, because I don't have another board that's currently working on this platform. But I think it's safe to say that it's the board. We can just infer that the board is the issue based on everything that we do know. So, wow, I guess this is a very underwhelming ending to this video. On the bright side, I did get to build a computer today, which was awesome. I was just hoping that I'd be able to turn it on by the end of it, which is one of the most exciting parts about building a new PC. So I feel like I got totally stiffed today, and we kind of got to do this again, whether it's with same or similar parts or something completely different. because I don't even want to look at the system right now. Pissed me off. But thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you found it at least a little enjoyable, entertaining, maybe informational. If you did, toss a like on it. Before you go, check out our merch store, Bitwit.tech. We've got new caps. They're really cool and super comfy, along with our premium hoodies. Check those out as well. They're all on sale. There's no discounts. By on sale, I just mean that we are selling them and you can buy them with money and stuff. But thank you guys so much for your support on the store. We have really quality items right now, and I'm really glad that you guys are enjoying them. Those of you who have purchased anything from Bitwit.tech so far, so thank you. As always, feel free to subscribe to the channel for more tech content coming at you really soon. Have a good one, and I'll see you guys in the next video.